Hello everyone, Titanium Taco here. Today we're going to look at all the minifigures that came out in the 2025 March sets. First batch of minifigures are the Dragonians, which there are 3 variants. The first Dragonian we have here is from the City Workshop set. He's just enjoying the sights in his casual outfit, and I gotta say, overall decent minifigure. This specific Dragonian figure also has a different back face print, which overall is really nice and blends well with his hairpiece. The next figure we have is the Dragonian Tire, which is also the same as the other Dragonian figure that we get in this set, except it just has longer horns. And overall, I just love these Dragonian figures. I really like the small little dragon attached to their back that also resembles their wings. It all attaches really nicely and smoothly to the figure. The dual molding with the armor piece and the Dragonian head is also really cool. And I just really like the torso and leg print for the Dragonian figures. With everything removed, you could get a closer look at his face print and the torso back print. It does have 2 face prints, one with just a fireball and one with an actual face. And I do like that one option is the fireball to actually kind of show the Dragonian head outside of the face print to kind of show like it's breathing fire. So overall, fantastic figure. Next up are the 3 civilians from the City Workshop set. Now this one I'm not going to spend any time on because we've seen this torso, we've seen this head print, we've seen this hairpiece, we've seen this figure before in other sets. It's unnecessary in Ninjago. This construction worker, on the other hand, is slightly more interesting than the previous figure. I do like the dual molded hairpiece with the helmet, and she's got a pretty cool double-sided face with glasses and no glasses. This figure is just overall decent. Now this figure is also just pretty cool because it's got a dual molded hairpiece with a hood. It's always just good to get these dual molded pieces. Choice of leg print and torso are just whatever, and choice of face print as well as whatever. It does have at the very least dual face print, so that's pretty cool. Little nice addition. Overall, pretty decent figure. Next up is Pixel or Samurai X, which we do get 2 figures of in this wave. Now overall, I really do like this Pixel figure. It's always good to get that hairpiece in that silver color for her. I do really like her color scheme with the pink and the white and the silver with a little bit of purple in there as well. My only gripe with this figure is the lack of a helmet piece for her. Because she is Samurai X, I would like for her to have her helmet and maybe the armor too, but that's kind of just a minor nitpick because we have seen this armor quite a bit, but on her it looks pretty good. And although she doesn't have this helmet, she does have a visor and a second face print, which looks pretty good, but I would still like for her to have the helmet. Although not my favorite Pixel Samurai X figure, it's still a really solid one. Next up is Sora, which we have seen before and only comes in 1 set. We've all seen this Sora figure. The hairpiece is still slightly newer. This particular figure is the armor mask with the hairpiece combo, and honestly not much to say about this figure other than it's a pretty good figure, but we have seen this figure quite a lot. My only issue with this figure are the face prints for all the Soras. I feel like they got the face prints mixed up, where the more angry looking face print should be the one that's using her powers, where the more relaxed one should not be using her powers, but in this case it's opposite, so I think they kind of just messed up on that, which I wish they would fix, but it's not gonna happen, really. But yeah, good figure. Next up is Wildfire with no armor piece, which only comes in 1 set. And this figure has also got to the point where we've seen enough. It's a really solid figure. The new hairpiece for her is really nice. Unfortunate that it doesn't have an armor piece, which this figure really should, especially in the set that it comes with at that price. I don't understand why she wouldn't have that armor piece. She also doesn't have a second face print, which is a huge missed opportunity for her. So overall, awesome figure, just unfortunate that we don't have a new one for her. Next up is Aaron, which only comes in 1 set and is a different variant from the January sets. This Aaron figure in particular, I absolutely love. I really like the addition of the black on him. It's really cool. It does really help kind of symbolize his transition from being on the ninja team with Roz now. And just the 2 hood piece combo is really nice on this figure as opposed to the previous one that we got. I also like the new sprayed on dragon on his torso. Again, just another really cool detail. And of course, Aaron only has 1 face print since his hair doesn't allow him to have a second one. But yeah, I absolutely adore this figure. It's honestly a 10 out of 10 figure for me. Next up is Nia, which only comes in 1 set this wave. And of course, this is the same Nia that we got in January. Honestly, just a really solid figure overall. Nia's color scheme is one of the ones that I love absolutely the most out of all the ninja. I just really like the gunmetal gray with that dark azure. And this time around, she also has an armor piece. Once everything is off, you can see the back torso print a little bit easier, which is also just really nicely detailed. The face prints are also stuff we've seen before since they were introduced since Dragon's Rising Season 1. Overall, solid figure. Next up is Cole, which again, we only got 1 in this March wave of sets. Like Nia, we've also gotten this figure before, and this time also an armor piece included. The color scheme is a little bit bit weaker compared to Nia's because of the orange. It's a little bit jarring because you almost have an entirely completely black minifigure with a little splash of orange on his helmet piece. Maybe if you swap the gray hands with orange hands, it would look slightly better. It would have just been nice to see that orange elsewhere besides the belt. And with everything removed, you can see the back print a little bit easier, which again is fantastic. Face print stuff also we've seen before, which is also pretty decent with Cole's, I think. Next up is Kai, which again we only get one in the March sets. Like the other ninjas, pretty solid minifigure, although this time around his primary color is the dark red instead of regular red, with red being the accent color. Overall solid choice, I think it works with this particular minifigure, and this one also has an armor piece. I keep mentioning that because not every ninja had an armor piece in the January sets. With everything removed, you can see the face print and the back print a little bit easier, which are fantastic, and the smiling Kai face print, I gotta say, is probably the best Kai face print we've ever gotten in a long time. This face print just honestly screams Kai. Overall, solid figure. Next up is ya boy Zane, which only comes in one set this wave. If you guys know me already, you guys already know that Zane's my favorite character, and I absolutely love this figure. Not because he's shirtless or anything, but just because it's overall a really cool figure. Yeah, that's totally why it is. Face print's pretty decent for the figure, not accurate to the show, but that's kind of whatever. For being the character that's on the box art, it's kind of disappointing that we are getting very few Zane minifigures, and the one that we did get this time around, although is the shirtless one, which I do like, it is unfortunate that we don't have his full-on minifigure, which only comes in one set, which makes him an exclusive minifigure compared to the rest of the ninja. You would think the shirtless Zane would be the exclusive minifigure, but no. Overall, this figure is a 10 out of 10. Lloyd is the last ninja, which we get two of this time around. Lloyd's an interesting one because he does have 3 shades of green on this figure. He's got the lime green hands, and then the bright green and dark green color scheme for the torso and helmet piece. Overall, it is a little bit jarring to see the lime green hands, but it's overall, it's good, it's good. This figure also comes with the armor piece, which is a nice bonus. And overall, I think Lloyd's suit this time around is slightly weaker than the rest of the ninjas. I do think it's slightly worse than Cole's. With everything removed, you can see everything much more better. And yeah, it's overall a decently designed figure. They all kind of share the same format, but it really comes down to the color scheme. Face print overall is also pretty decent. So, solid figure. Next up, we have the Forbidden 5, or for now, Forbidden 3. Up first is Noct, the man himself, one of the first Forbidden 5 that we've seen in the show. This figure I absolutely love, and that honestly goes for all the Forbidden 5 members. The torso and leg prints are just absolutely fantastic, and I just absolutely love the design with the hat and the mask. The armor piece is kind of whatever because it's not show accurate, but honestly you just put on the cape and you're done. The face print is also pretty good, and it obviously doesn't have a second one because it could be seen when he has the hat on, but at the very least he does have a little bit extra detailing on the back of his head. So honestly, just a really good figure. Next up is Drix, which again is another fantastic figure, and I absolutely love. It's actually really cool that this person's completely made out of bugs. I think this armor piece really complements this specific minifigure. I also really just like how the red pops on this figure. It's just really cool. Like Noct, this figure doesn't have a second face print, but it does have a little bit more detail on the back of its head. With everything removed, you can see the face print a little bit better, and the back of the printing as well. All the Forbidden 5 share the same symbol on the back, and yeah, overall this figure is fantastic. Lastly here we have Zarkt, which is also another freaking fantastic minifigure. Instead of having legs this time around, it's got that dress piece, and I've seen some small complaints that the hat piece is not fully show accurate, which typically would bother me, but I guess this time around I actually don't have much of a problem with it. I think that's mainly due to this figure just absolutely being fantastic. I really love the color scheme on this figure. A really awesome added bonus is that this figure also has 2 face prints as opposed to the other Forbidden 5, which makes sense because the face print of this Forbidden 5 can be covered with the hat piece, so you'll only ever see one side of the face print. But I guess it also is kind of unfortunate because most of the face print is obstructed by the hat piece. And lastly, we have some side characters that got minifigures in the City Workshop set. First off, we have good old Twitchy Tim. Now overall, I really do like this minifigure. The one thing I don't like is probably the choice of color for the legs. They chose this sand green, which I don't believe it is in the show, but I could be wrong, but it does look a little bit off-putting. I do feel like some dual molded legs would have been useful on this figure. I do think they nailed the facial expression for this character really well, and the torso design is just fantastic both front and back. Going off the face print, again, they really nailed it with both face prints because he does have 2. He's got this really cheery one and then a very frightened one, which really does fit the character really well. So solid figure overall. Next up is Dorama. And now Dorama is one of those figures that I actually kind of hated when I first saw that. And part of the reason was because of the color purple that they chose to use on the figure. I did, however, look back at the episodes and saw that the figure is actually pretty accurate in terms of the color purple they used. The reason many of us are put off by it is because it doesn't have all that glittery texture on this figure. So the base color of the actual suit is this color, but is covered by all that glitter that he's wearing in the show, which is why this figure looks inaccurate. But it's actually still the right color. So overall, I think the figure is spot on in terms of design. I just do wish they did add that glittery effect on this figure. This face print may also look familiar. It kind of uses the same elements as Gravis' minifigure, but actually still slightly altered. So this is a completely new face print for him. So overall, decent figure. Next up, we have his puppet, which I will include as a minifigure, and it's overall a nicely built puppet. Sure, it's not to the scale as it is in the show, but it's pretty decent for what it is. It's got really good articulation, and the two sticker pieces really added that level of detail that it needs for its size. Overall, solid build. Next up, we have Dr. LaRoe, which is actually more inaccurate than I thought. For starters, people pointed out that the hairpiece is the wrong color, which I actually didn't even notice that it was black in the show. Secondly, her coat doesn't extend all the way out through her legs, which honestly isn't that big a deal for me. I could go with the plain legs, but not so much the wrong hairpiece. Overall, the design of the minifigure is pretty solid, and she does at the very least have two face prints, one slightly happy and one a little bit more angrier. So with the lack of leg printing, at least it's made up with the face printing. Now I did go ahead and made a slightly more accurate hairpiece for Dr. LaRoe, which I think turned out pretty well. I just used the black Sharpie, a white Posca pen, and the Ultra Cover Semi-Gloss clear spray paint. And the final figure of the bunch, Casual Harumi, which is a figure we've all been waiting for years. And this figure is absolutely fantastic. Yes, it has no leg printing, but honestly, I've grown past that, and the figure is absolutely phenomenal. Part of the reason I looked past the leg printing is because this figure does have two new face prints for this specific Harumi figure. I was afraid that they would just use a generic face print for Harumi, but I'm so glad that they didn't. And I'm also just really happy that they brought back this hairpiece with the chopsticks in it, because this is just the casual Harumi figure that we've all been waiting for. And it's just really nice to see that we finally have this figure. And the torso design on this figure is fantastic. I think they got all the core details of this figure pretty spot on, obviously besides the leg printing. The face prints are also just absolutely spot on because these are actual facial expressions that we see these characters do in the show, as opposed to a lot of face prints that we've been getting with the ninja, which they make facial expressions that they never do in the show. So I absolutely love this figure. I know I trash talk Harumi a lot, but this figure is fantastic. And that was every single minifigure that was in all the March 2025 sets this time around. What do you guys think of these minifigures? Are any one of these in your favorite? Is there one that you wish you saw in this wave? Anything and everything, make sure to leave a comment down below, leave a like, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and I will see you all next time. Taco out.